Hello, my name is Tony Berard. So I'm going to prove that God does not exist. I guess I don't need my glasses. There are so-called proofs out there of God existing and not existing. I've seen many of them. One that I remember vividly, which is false, goes, this was like from the Crusades. One of the popes or somebody in the Inquisition told this person, "See this bonfire? God exists. That's not a proof of God. Okay, that's a threat of being burned alive if you don't agree that God exists. That's just silly." All right, so here's the proof of God. This is my own proof, and I've run it against AI, and it's true. AI says that this is true. All right, so the first premise is that all gods require magic to perform miracles. And some people might say magic is not the same as divine power. Well, if it's a violation of physics, it is. It's some other force other than the four natural forces of the world being used, which no one has ever shown that other forces other than the four known physical forces of the electrostatic force, electromagnetism, gravity, and the strong and weak nuclear forces. Those are the four forces, and magic is not one of those four. And so God uses magic to perform the miracles. That's premise one. Premise two is that magic does not exist. We have tested for it. The Templeton Foundation did a study a number of years ago for intercessory prayer. You could look it up. They found that intercessory prayer did not work. They took patients in a hospital and they told, well, some of them were told they were being prayed for. Some of them were not told they were being prayed for. And I can't remember if I don't remember how the study was done totally, but some were told, some were not told. Yeah, I don't remember if they were told no one is praying for you. Anyway, the people that were prayed for actually did a little bit worse because they got anxiety. And, there's a placebo effect. There's also something called a nocebo effect. Nocebo. That's a new word I learned recently. That's a negative effect that your body sets into motion based on expectations. So a placebo effect is positive effects set forth by the body. It's different mechanisms in the body, but still there are mechanisms that cause good in the body and bad in the body. So that's placebo and nocebo. So people that were told they were being prayed for, the anxiety caused like a nocebo effect. So magic does not exist. Also, the James Randi Education Foundation. James Randi is deceased now, but for many years in the 70s and 80s and 90s, he had a big prize for anybody that could demonstrate paranormal powers under controlled conditions. And the controlled conditions were agreed upon by the person who claimed to have the powers and by the James Randi Education Foundation. So the thing was set up, and in all cases, no one was able to claim the prize. Eventually, he retired the prize. Well, it's not a surprise from a science point of view, because in order for them to do their magic or paranormal abilities, it would require forces that are not of the four that we know about. I said five because I was thinking magic. Magic's not a force. So the premise two is magic does not exist. And so the conclusion to draw from those two premises is that God does not exist. because God requires magic that does not exist to be able to perform miracles. David Hume was a philosopher who had some criteria. It's called the Humean standard, named after David Hume, and that's for testing claims. And if someone claims something miraculous happened, you're not to accept the testimony of somebody, because the chances of them being wrong is actually greater than the chances that a miracle happened. And so you have to take the higher probability. And so the higher probability is that they are mistaken. And so that's the Humean standard, because a violation of physics, just doesn't happen. Like the Virgin Mary, biology says that a woman cannot give birth to a male. Where does she get the Y chromosome from? A woman is XX and a man is XY. And the sperm, when they enter the egg, the egg will either get an X sperm or a Y sperm. If it gets an X sperm, the egg is already X because of XX. And if the sperm is X, then the child will be a female. If the sperm is Y, then the child will be a male, because the female egg has an X and the Y sperm, that's how a male is developed. So for Mary to give birth to a male without intercourse is not possible. So I guess there's some documented cases possibly of women giving birth to other women, through immaculate conception, but not a male. So we have, these things that magic, we've shown that magic does not occur. The James Randi Education Foundation and the full-blown scientific study by the Templeton Foundation showed that prayer does not work. Well, there's a reason it doesn't work. It's because magic does not exist. So all the findings that we have are consistent. Also, if a miracle does occur, violation of physics, there would be an interjection of power into our universe, and that would show up as a Stenger spike. Victor Stenger wrote a book called The God Hypothesis, and he showed, but AI said he didn't quite prove it. What I'm giving you is an actual proof, so it does a little bit better than Stenger did. And Lawrence Krauss wrote a book, A Universe from Nothing, that AI said that didn't quite do it either. But it did agree that my proof does prove that God does not exist, because I'm tying it to not just the existence of God, but the ability of God to do a miracle. That's the key difference between what I did and what these other scientists attempted. So I'm showing that the magic does not exist through all the efforts that we've tried in humanity. And so there it is. So God does not exist. If you really believe in God, I'm sorry, but just like a kid, you learn that the tooth fairy does not exist, Santa Claus does not exist. Well, God does not exist. It's there's not, a big buddy in the sky that, looks after you and stuff. You got to do things on your own. There's no one out there to help you. And so there's like a lot of faith healers out there. They're trying to use the placebo effect to some degree, and it works on a small scale, but there's so many people that after they, go to the faith healer, they still wind up dying, or their condition worsens and stuff, and they gave this preacher or whatever all their money, or just ruin them financially for the hope of the hands-on healing. So since you now know that God does not exist, they're only using the placebo effect. The placebo effect is a real effect. There are mechanisms within the body that can do good things for the body. So but it's not magic. So anyway, that's my proof that God does not exist. So I wanted to say one other thing. So they're saying that this Trump invading Iran is to prepare for the apocalypse and the second coming of Jesus. I've seen some videos on this. Oh my goodness, this is just ridiculous. Jesus is not coming again. When a body is dead, it's dead. And there was no eyewitness of Jesus rising from the dead. There's just an empty tomb. Well, there's many reasons how a tomb could be empty. One video I saw, Mr. Deity, he had a video that Mary went to the wrong tomb because it was dark. He said back in those days there was no streetlights or anything, and it was dark. And to try to make your way, they just went to the wrong tomb, and it was empty. That would explain things. So anyway, so Jesus did not rise from the dead the first time, and he's not coming again. Although if he already rose from the dead, wouldn't have that been the second coming? So it should be the third coming, but they don't say that. Anyway, so there it is. God does not exist. Jesus was just a man. I guess I'll say one other thing. There's something called the mortality syllogism. Premise 1, all men are mortal. Premise 2, Socrates or Jesus or Mohammed was a man. And the conclusion is that whatever man you inserted into premise 2, that person is mortal. So they die. Everybody dies. You live and you die. That applies to gods. If you think there's a God out there, if everything in the universe is mortal, how could something be immortal? Also, the Big Bang, Big Crunch thing, I don't know if you've heard of this, or the Big Bang, Big Chill. There's not actually, the universe is flying apart faster than the speed of light. I don't know if you knew that, but it is. And so Neil deGrasse Tyson says that we are past escape velocity, so the universe is just going to chill. So the big chill is what's going to happen, which means things just get farther and farther and farther apart, and eventually there's no activity and absolute zero occurs. So that's the big chill. Everything freezes out. So science has the answers. It's not religion having the answers. So God cannot be immortal because the universe will go into a big freeze at some point. Will another Big Bang rise up out of it afterwards? Maybe. Roger Penrose has a cycling universe called CCC. You could look that up too. Conformal cycling. I don't know what the third C is. But there is math behind it and stuff. Roger Penrose knew how to do some math. I think he's still alive too. So, will a new Big Bang happen? I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade. But I can provide a proof that God does not exist, and I have done that in this video. If you like videos like this, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.